During the time Pennsylvania was a colony and a state, there were times that they tried to do vital records and it just didn't work out. In this episode of Your Pennsylvania Ancestors, I cover some of the, I'll just say, failures at vital records that Pennsylvania went through and let you know where you can find those records. This is Denise Allen with Your Pennsylvania Ancestors, and I am an kind of all things Pennsylvania gal, nerd, genealogist, historian here in Pennsylvania. I just love the state and I love to share what I know about it as I've been discovering my Pennsylvania ancestors and I'm sharing it all with you here. And I really hope this helps you. Today, I'm talking about times that Pennsylvania tried to do vital record registrations and it just didn't work out. And the last one's going to surprise you because it worked out in a way that's actually a real positive for genealogists. And it will surprise you. I don't want to sound like a BuzzFeed article, but this will surprise you. So let's get started with the thing that we tried to do is the colony of Pennsylvania, also known as the province of Pennsylvania. Very, very fancy term, way back in the 1680s, and that is under William Penn. There was a law passed in 1682 that people needed to register at their county courthouse their births, marriages, and deaths. Now, if you're familiar with Pennsylvania history, that means it is basically the county of Philadelphia now, the surrounding counties, what we know now as Bucks, Delaware, Chester, and Montgomery, and also what we call the lower counties, which is the state of Delaware. And we do not tease Delaware and call them the lower counties. That's just a rumor. It does not happen in the state of Pennsylvania. But anyway, we did have that law in place. And did people follow that law? Did they go to their county courthouse and register their births, marriages, and deaths? No, not really. They did do some, because there's always seems to be some people that follow that kind of rule. And my guess would be, I didn't do an extensive forensic examination of these records, but my guess would be it would be the wealthier people alive at that time period who would have taken advantage of that rule or that law and done that kind of registration for their family members. That was maybe to make sure that their estate passed into the right hands, but those records are found, the ones that have survived to the point that they could be kept, those are found in the Pennsylvania State Archives books. So not the Pennsylvania State Archives building in Harrisburg, the Pennsylvania State Archives book series, which is immense. It's over 180 volumes. It was published in the early part of the 20th century and consists of early records of Pennsylvania. Those books have all been digitized, and I will drop the links to the volumes in the show notes. The easiest way to find these volumes and where they exist is on Wikipedia. So if you type in Pennsylvania State Archives and you're looking for the book series, they have links there on Wikipedia to every single volume of that series and where you can find it. They're digitized on Fold 3 and they're digitized on Internet Archive, but I just go to the Wikipedia page because it just has them in order and I can pretend like I'm browsing them on a bookshelf. The second time we tried vital record registration in the state of Pennsylvania is from 1852 to 1854. Now, you might have noticed there's a huge gap there between 1682 and 1852, but that's the way things rolled here in Pennsylvania. In an upcoming episode, I will be talking about substitutes that you can use for vital records. These are other documents or other records that were created that could have someone's birth or death or marriage on it. Okay. And there's lots of them. It's a really long list. Maybe I should try to do it as like a limerick or something and rhyme it for you. That would be fun. But the 1852 to 1854 laws I talked about in a previous episode of Your Pennsylvania Ancestors, where I talked about the confusing 19th century and all the variations of records. Again, with those, disappointing, people did not follow the rules and do the registration as they were supposed to, but always worth checking those records. Check out that episode on the confusing 19th century to get the details on where to locate those records. And drum roll for the last one. That's gonna surprise you. Okay, here we go. The last situation where Pennsylvania tried vital records and it just didn't work out the way it was expected is the Vital Record Registration Act that started in cities in 1860 or 1870 or 1874, but across the state in 1893. Some of the places that did this, after they got started, they were kind of supposed or could have stopped in 1906 when the state started doing birth certificates and death certificates, but there was kind of like a mix-up. So these boards of health or departments of health in these cities kind of kept going. I know, right? Like, this is actually a mistake that works in a genealogist's favor. You're telling me they made more records than what I could have used or needed? And this is what I'm telling you. To my pleasant surprise, I have found places that kind of kept going with these vital record registrations when they really didn't need to. If you have an ancestor that you found in one of our industrial cities that were doing these vital record registrations, so I'm talking about Pittsburgh, Reading, Allentown, Easton, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, double check those local records to see if the Bureau of Health or Department of Health didn't keep some sort of register on like public health nuisances or births or situations around that. But wouldn't be like a formal registration system necessarily that they were keeping up, but they might have done something because they were concerned locally about their public health situation. So do check for those. I found a few, but I'm always afraid that they're going to disappear and then I'll be forever on YouTube and find out 5 years later that somebody's upset that they can't find these records. But the one set of vital records registrations in a city that I've used quite a bit, and it's really interesting, is the ones for the city of Philadelphia. So these are digitized on Family Search, the city of Philadelphia's death registrations and birth registrations that they continued on to the year 1915. So from 1906 to 1915, they kept double the records. What it looks like to me is the city completed their registration record for the city, and then they made a copy on the state's form and sent it to the state. If you're a genealogist and you're researching in Philadelphia, you're going to want to look for these records for sure. So I pulled one for a friend of mine for a family member that had died in her family in 1911. And you could see clear as day that when you compared the two certificates, so there was a death certificate for the state of Pennsylvania and a death registration for the city of Philadelphia, you could see that the city of Philadelphia had multiple handwriting, multiple inks used. You could see the process where the doctor filled in his part for the cause of death. You could see the funeral home part and what they had completed, as well as the name. And then you could also see the registrar had signed and wrote in a different kind of ink. But then when you look at the state certificate, it's all in one hand. It's all the same, like one handwriting and one pen ink from top to bottom. So that one is clearly a copy of the original, and the original, if that's a word, the original is this Philadelphia death registration. Look for these because I know I do it. When I'm copying something from one to another, it's possible I changed the letter, I changed the number, I got something wrong. I did the cemetery from the last one that I did, not the current one. So check for both of these because you might find some discrepancies. I'm not saying that there are, but there could be that could solve a family mystery or provide a detail that you didn't know about your family. Now, as always, if you need help locating these registration records or just kind of figuring some things out with your ancestors that are confusing, or maybe you just don't even know where to start, I have, as a part of my Inner Circle membership, a research question and answer time where you can come onto Zoom, ask your research question. I don't know how to find this record. I'm not sure where to go next. And I will answer it live on Zoom and get you set in the direction that you need to go in to answer your family history questions. And if you want to know when those research Q&As are, I have a newsletter. I send it out each week. I include a little bit of Pennsylvania history, a little bit about genealogy records, and the latest that's going on in the Inner Circle, including those research Q&As. So go ahead and sign up and you can get those dates and then register for the Q&A, and it'll drop a reminder right there in your calendar and send you a reminder to your email right before it starts. Go to paancestors.com. You can go to the members section and you'll get all the information on what it takes to join the Inner Circle. The links are also in the show notes. And be sure to check out the links too for those Pennsylvania State Archives books, because you'll want to check those out if you have early Pennsylvania ancestors. And this is Denise Allen wishing you many discoveries on your Pennsylvania ancestors.